Start and go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bet Boys, your one-stop shop for all your energy drink reviews and performance talks. I'm Christian,
I'm Brian.
and we are the Bet Boys. And today we got another Q&A episode for y'all. We did a little bit better than the last time we attempted to do a Q&A and didn't get jack shit for questions. So props to you guys, but I guess it makes up for the last time. I think we got about 5 questions each, so we got a good amount. Some of them are a little more serious than others, but we're going to answer them all. I think they're at least all PC enough to go on the internet, which, is a good thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, as far as drinks, Brian's in the middle of fucking nowhere, so he's struggling, and I'm in a third world country, so I'm also struggling. So I think this is like the third week in a row I've like brought either a berry blast or like a fruit punch, sparkling ice energy. But regardless, we here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that top.
We need an official sponsorship from Sparkling Ice.
God damn, do we or not? Yeah,
We've been giving so much promotion to like 12 people over and over again. We boosted
I
their sales at
know.
least by three.
Yeah,
Not
I boosted them
3%,
by
but
like
three.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I boost them by 3% with my consumption. Um, I need like a signature flavor. Give me like a cherry limeade. That sounds pretty good.
That would be pretty
Um,
good.
okay. I'll go ahead and start us off. I don't know if we were gonna go. I was thinking about before the show. I'm like, do we go in order of like who asked them first? Do I go in order of like serious questions versus stupid ones?
I think
But
we just wing it. I
I
think we
think
just
we
wing
just
it and
wing
we
it
go for it.
because that's
That's
what
what we
we
do.
always do with everything. Um, I'm gonna start off with a little warm up question here. It's a lighthearted one, but I think you're probably gonna have to spearhead this one. Jake Harrell asks, shout out Jake. Appreciate you asking a question. Jake's takes, maybe making a return at some point, maybe not. We'll see. He says, golf simulator or no golf simulator? I'm assuming that means like, what's your preference, or like, do you like a golf simulator or not like a golf simulator? Um,
So he's on this. I recently got into golf, had a career best score yesterday. Actually worked the driver like it should have. So I was hot. The driver was hot yesterday. Went to a beautiful course. Me and my boy girlfriends came out with us. Played honestly like out of my mind for 18 holes. Like was not expecting to. It ended up with a pretty good score. A little disappointed because it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but season's best. Bringing that back for sure. Yes, golf simulator. I need one. I want one. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm putting one in. As soon as I can find one on Facebook Marketplace. So if anyone sees one, get that thing over.
yeah, I've only used a golf simulator one time, I think. It was actually in Chicago. It was for we were having some meetings for work in Chicago, and then we went to like this bar that had a golf simulator, and I ripped on that thing. It was pretty fun. It's like even if you're shit, like it's a fun way to
Playing.
no homo drive some balls without having to like do any of the pickup. Like I mean, it just comes right back to you. Do you prefer the simulator or a driving range though? Because driving range is sick too.
I think I would. So this is the hard part. Like a simulator, like you can play a course without having to move, which is what's kind of
True.
cool about it. I think I would still prefer a driving range because it's kind of the difference of like if you're running say 7-on-7 in practice or you're doing the VR 7-on-7 with like a quarterback training, that kind of deal. It's a great tool to not beat yourself up as much in one way or the other. And you can get a little bit more replication in different scenarios. You don't need as many people around, you know, in the terms of golf, like you don't necessarily need anyone around, but it's like you don't need the space. It's a much smaller thing. You don't have to go buy a bunch of range balls, rifle through them, go get more. It's like you can play with like three balls and just cycle through. So it gives you an opportunity to do a lot of that stuff. I still think I take like a good range with maybe like a chipping green and like a putting green, or sorry, a chipping like a short game area and like a putting green. I think I still take that over a simulator. But then you got to think about, man, it's raining, it's nasty out. You can just turn that thing on and just have fun. Like I'm all in on a simulator. I want it. I want to be great at golf. If there's any listeners that's like, hey, these are some tools, this is some tricks, this is some tips, like send them my way.
Yeah, you could put that right next to your home gym, and then do some super sports specific training, if you know what I mean. Get a little 3D strap pelvic rotation, and then go take a whack at the simulator.
See, my thing's like hit a squat, walk over, hit the simulator.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Little
some
PAP.
Yeah, a little PAP for golf. See Rory
Ooh,
McIlroy do that shit. Maybe he does.
maybe he does. Yeah, he drives great. I was like him on the driver yesterday, so maybe
Yeah,
me and Rory should hang out.
yeah. That sounds like a good idea. Maybe
Yeah.
you could hook us up. Okay, so golf simulator definitely
Yes.
definitely fucks. Um,
Yes.
okay, we want to go ahead and alternate here.
Yeah, yeah. This one was brought to my attention. What's the greatest highlight video that you've ever seen,
Oof. Regardless of sport, regardless of
regardless of
sport,
sport?
I know what you're gonna say. I'm pretty sure I know what you're gonna say. Um, it's a good question.
Hmm.
I feel like a Michael Jordan like top 50 plays is definitely up there.
Yeah.
I think another person. I think like basketball first. Another person, dude, like Kyrie Irving highlights.
When he was doing like, dude, in like 20, like 15, 16, when his
Yep,
crossover was like elite in the
yep.
league,
Like
just seeing him
Cavs, Kyrie
almost,
Irving.
yes, rocking the number two, like right when like LeBron came back to the Cavs and Kyrie was just like there to just literally, I don't want to say he wasn't that he was just there to facilitate the game, but he was like, let's create split space and kind of quarterback that offense for the Cavs and like get people in the right spots, set up shots, and then he would just step back a mid range and just absolutely blitz it.
Yeah, I remember like I used to watch a lot of Kyrie Irving highlights. Um, when John Wall was in his prime, that was
Yeah.
another one. He was one of my favorite. Like Rondo, like OG Rajon Rondo,
Or like just like an old like
Allen Iverson.
a little old AI video or who am I think like honestly back then like basketball wise Tracy McGrady like little T Mac highlights with like the dunks those went
Yep,
nuts.
yep. T Mac highlights. Um, yeah, basketball has definitely got a lot of them.
There's some studs.
Yeah. What about for you?
This is the hard part is I think like a lot of like highlight videos, it's not just the plays themselves, but it's like how they curate the clips, it's the music that goes into it. Like that means a lot, which is so dumb, but it's true. Like it conveys like this like it's like kind of breathtaking thing. Like number one, obviously, the number one is only one Tavon Austin. That
I
is
knew it.
incredible, incredible. But then it's like you kind of have like a couple of them. Like if that's the best offensive one, I you can't say that. It might be the best of all time, but it's also the best offensive one. The best defensive one I've ever watched. Honest to God, it might be another West Virginia legend, Carl Joseph, number eight, eight ball, crazy eight. Guys, he was a strong safety, free safety, and just hit like a freight train. But obviously the old LSU or sorry, Tyrann Mathieu, like LSU
Hmm.
highlights, just watching like the flashes on the screen when he like punched the ball out on a strip sack, grabbed it and kept going. I think team highlight video, this one's gonna be a crazy poll. 2014 to 2015 college football season, Oregon Ducks levels pump up video. If you wanna get hyped, dude, that one put there was like a remix of levels that they put on there, and it was the whole team. They had D'Anthony Thomas, Michael James. They had Darren Thomas at quarterback. They had all these players, and it was just all of their plays like popped together. All the defensive guys, like I think it was when John Boyette was like they took clips from when he was playing, like just making big hits. Um, it's like I think his last name was like Obakwe. He was like 25. was an outside linebacker just crushing people. I mean, that team was insane. So watching that, if I just go like straight up, like you want to watch some great play, regardless of music, top 50 plays in Aaron Rodgers' career, or that 2015, that 20 like 12, 2013 season when he went like 19 straight wins and just had literally the best statistical uh career season for any quarterback in the NFL, highest passer rating, passed at the time like 4,500 passing yards was insane. Like now it's an everyday thing because they could just loft it up in the air. But it was like a 42-6 touchdown to interception ratio. Like he's just putting them on dimes the whole video, and you're just watching like a no setup, no setup, just a dog throwing the ball, dicing it up off the back foot, little fadeaway throw across the body on the run, moving to the right, going across the body, left side, Jordy Nelson just catching it only where he could get it on the opposite corner of the end zone. Yeah, I got goosebumps thinking about that right now. Aaron Rodgers, you're my guy. Greatest quarterback ever to play. I don't care what anyone says, wins, whatever, this or that. Watch him spin a ball.
Yeah, no, or the Oregon like D'Anthony Thomas highlights. I used to watch those a lot. Funny story, there was actually used to be, I think it was around that time. They had a player who was crazy enough, actually from like Cedar Rapids, who had the same name as me. His name was Christian French. He played for Oregon. Um,
No way. We got to
yeah,
look this up.
much better at look up like Christian French Oregon football. Much better athlete than me. We don't look alike. But he had
I
like
see the similarities.
he had like yeah, dude, he like went to Oregon. He had it was I think his final three was like Iowa, Oregon, and Notre Dame. Like dude was a stud. I don't know, like I remember he like I don't know if he like ever made it to the NFL or anything, but like he played for
You guys
Oregon.
look so similar.
Yeah,
I see a striking resemblance between the two of you.
yeah. Like he made I think he made like a pretty big play in the Rose Bowl. I think he was like a defensive end or some shit like that, or maybe a tight end.
I
Yeah,
see it.
defensive end.
I see the resemblance.
Yeah, but it was crazy that he
Seahawks.
was. Yeah, so I think he had a little quick stint. But yeah, it was crazy because he was from Cedar Rapids.
Dude, this guy's huge.
Yeah,
This guy is huge.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I see it.
So yeah,
I see the resemblance.
little quick story time there. But yeah, watching
I'm here
old.
for it.
I spent so much time. I feel like in study hall in high school, I did no studying. All I did was watch highlight videos and play 8 ball pool on miniclip.com. If you
Oh,
ever played that, I used to be addicted to that game. Me and my friends would
dude,
all
we
be
used
playing.
we used to play this one. It was like it was like duck racing. Now I'm a little older than you, but it was like it, you could build like your own duck and you had to hit like Z and M and you would make them waddle. And me and my buddies would race each other, like trying to tap it as hard as you can. And you could like put racing racing stripes and like sunglasses on your duck. We had like an in-school suspension because I put my buddy through a table. And we were just telling this story. He like, went to like put me in a headlock and I stood up and like flipped him over and the table caved up over him and everything.
Fuck
Our
yeah.
our assistant, our vice principal, like pulled us in the office, and he's like, he had the clip pulled up on the security cameras, and he was like, "Can you explain this to me?" And we were like, "It was like a piggyback gone wrong." We tried to like play it off, and he just looks at us, and he's like, I, "I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it looked pretty cool, but you can't be doing that."
And then you're like, hey, can you send me that video?
We asked him, we were like, "Can we get that?" And he's like, "No."
Damn.
And he's
Oh,
like, you guys have to have in school suspension. So we had like for a month straight, we every like study hall, like eighth hour, you could either if you were like if you had the grades, like we had good grades, so it was like if you could leave that eighth hour, just you're done with school. We had to sit in like a computer lab and sit there and do homework. And then we just ended up saying like we found that game and we would just play that for an hour straight every day. And then like our librarian was like, "You guys have to do work." And she went and grabbed the vice principal and he like popped his head in, looked at us, and he's like, just let them be. Like it's not worth it."
Yeah, it was miniclip.com, and then I feel like you ever play games on Y8? Y8.com? That was a big one. They just had a
Dude,
bunch
what
of
was
weird random games.
they had one that was called like it was like Machine Games or something like that. And they had one that was like a little tank. That was so sick.
Yeah. When I was in school, it was like Bloons TD5 was big. Um, we would play
We're just
that.
unreal polls right now.
Yeah, like we would play that a lot. But yeah, the mini pool would get serious. 'Cause, you can buy you can buy upgrades, like new like pool cues that are more accurate. You can
Yep.
play in the tournaments. It's basically like kind of like gambling.
Gambling.
Like yeah, like it is like definitely. I think that whoever made that game definitely like owned casinos or had a stake in the casino business because they were. Um,
Which is
I was
wild that
hooked.
it never got it was wild that that didn't get like picked up by like a firewall from like a high school.
Yeah, but yeah, we I definitely was hooked. Um, so
Oh,
yeah,
100%. All right. I mean, we just went off on a tangent, but that's what we
yeah,
do
that was
here.
that was a good question. That was a good question.
Hmm.
Um, I'll go with another. Here's another good one. Okay, B. Wilkins, Brock Wilkins asks, could we potentially see any alcoholic energy drinks coming into play soon?
I I
Ever
made
heard
a
of Four
joke about
Loco?
this. Yeah, I made a joke about this. We have the team builder like company retreat coming up, and they were talking about like things that we should bring, and obviously we're consenting adults there. Like we're gonna have a couple
Couple
of
of
pops,
brewskis?
couple of pops hanging around. You know what I mean? So they're sitting there, and someone said, "Can we get?" I was drinking an energy drink, and someone was like, "Could someone bring Four Locos?" And I said, "Why don't we just grab C4 energy drinks and pour vodka in them? Just 3 shots of vodka, a 16-ounce C4 energy, 200 milligrams of caffeine, 2 grams of beta alanine, and then you got 3 shots of alcohol. Like,
That's a good
and it
night.
tastes like Hawaiian Punch or Green Jolly Ranchers. That's a great night. That's a great time. Did we just wait? Hold on a minute. We might have a business venture. We could
Yeah,
bring this back.
we could bring this back. Yeah, because it went so well the first time. Um,
Yeah, drink responsibly.
yeah, you put that on the can and you're off the
You're
hook
good
for
to
everything,
go.
right?
Yeah, you're out the yeah.
So potentially we could see that coming into play. I mean, I don't know why it's because people do it all the time. Obviously, like Red
Yeah.
Bull, like
Red Bull
vodka, Red
vodka,
Bull.
Jaeger bombs.
Yep, all that stuff. I'm sure people are doing it with like Monster and stuff now,
The Ghost Energy original flavor is literally made from mixed
made for
drinks.
that.
Like it was
Exactly.
created for that. Yeah. It might be, I mean I know you don't drink a lot, but it could be the move. We could start reviewing some.
Yep. 10:30 on a Sunday morning, get you going for the day.
And all it's got to do is it's just got to be football season, man. Get ready for a Packer game.
uh, so yeah, we could definitely see some of that coming into play.
Could be the
Not gonna say
move,
it's high on the priority list, but
but it
we
could be
might
the
put it on the
move.
back burner. Yeah, I'll take note of that. Shout out B Wilkins for the question. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I got one for us here. I have to grab this question because this is a doozy. This is from Amanda, original Bev Boys watcher and original Bev Boys t-shirt holder. Amanda Kelso, shout out to the girl. Which energy drink would a battle-worn knight chug before charging into a joust, knowing full well he's got a 2% chance of survival and a 98% chance of chaotic glory? I mean, what a question.
The wording is incredible. Let's just respect that for a second.
Dude, I mean, she had to have like she went and studied an English class to craft this thing right now. Like that is the setup, the premise, everything about it. That's such a perfect question. We should
That's a
clip that and then we
tough
should
one
put it
though.
on as a clip on and get people to answer it. I think I got an answer. I have obviously had a little bit more time to think about this one because I got the question. I'm gonna go with a rain sour gummy worm
Dude, I
for
was
two
thinking of
reasons.
rain as well. But go
Two
ahead.
reasons. It's a caffeine. real high caffeine. He's got 2% chance of survival. He's battle worn. Like this guy's he's dying. He's dragging ass. He needs something to go. You need a good pick me up. You need 300 milligrams of caffeine, right? Sour gummy worm. It'll get you in. It'll get. I mean, that would probably kill a medieval peasant, but a battle worn knight, they could handle that. Second, it's got a knight's helmet on there with a crown. I mean, it's kind of made for him. You know, I think it's a rain sour gummy worm or a rain sour gummy bear.
Yeah. The first thing that came to my mind was like a rain. I don't know why I thought of rain lemon head. Maybe it's just because I haven't, they like don't make those anymore. Like I haven't found one in forever, but those
Oh,
were fire. They used to sell those
they
at
need to bring that
Simpson.
back,
You used to be able to
dude.
buy those with your meal card.
Really?
Dude, it was like, I don't know how this was at CSP, but at Simpson, we were able to, now the food, it's tough to find like the food at the dining hall was another story. Not the greatest, not the worst. But then we
Yeah.
had, yeah, shout out Pfeiffer Dining Hall, lead the town in food violations, um, and cases of food poisoning. But we had, so we could use it at the dining hall, obviously. Then there was like a coffee shop, it was basically like a Starbucks under a different name. And then we had Tyler's Grill. That was like if you want like a burger, fries, chicken strips, that kind of stuff. And then there was this thing called Sub Connection, which is like a shitty knockoff of Subway. And at those like two places, you could buy like milk, water, like pop, tea, all that stuff. But then they started selling like Monsters, Celsius. For a while, they had Rain. They did have Rain, and then they started having C4 towards the end too. Like you'd pick up like
Dude,
a
that's
C4
sick.
Skittles. Um, so yeah, but I remember that was like the last time I had one of the lemon head rains. I was just thinking, yeah, rain, redline your shit with 300 mgs of caffeine. You made a good point that it has the night on the actual can, and something about that lemon head's just like little like pucker your lips up a little bit, just kind of like really get you
Get you like,
going. Yeah, it's like okay, yep, I'm ready to go. Like
I can do
kill or be
this.
killed. Kill or be
Yeah.
killed. I'm going in regardless.
Off that were you guys an a la carte dining hall or was it like swipe your card, you can go eat whatever you want?
Yeah, swipe and have as much as you want.
Dude,
Y'all were a la carte.
we
Oh,
were out. So we had one dining hall, and we just called it Sodexo because it was ran by Sodexo. So
same
every time
here.
we just referred to it as Sodexo. Like, oh, you guys going to Sodexo? Couldn't tell you what the dining hall was named in all reality. Have no idea. Still to this day, it is 10 years later. I was at that school for 4 years in undergrad and then did my master's there for 2 years. Couldn't tell you. But so you'd walk in, there was a big line for like the one main counter, which was like the dish of the day. Then they had the grill counter and the wrap counter. And then if you went in a little bit, there was like a cooler, and the cooler was like if you wanted your milk, if you wanted like a ready-made like salad or something. And then right beyond that, there was like a panini station that and did ice cream. Every item you got charged for. You had to walk up to a counter and they like inventoried and like charged you. So like if you ate, say you went to breakfast and you went to the grill counter and you got breakfast, it was like an omelet and some hash browns. That charged you like $17. It was
Oh,
nuts. So like there was the girl like if you were like a freshman football player like us, you were out. Like the last month, you didn't have enough credits to like eat. So like we would like find like the like soccer players or like some of the like volleyball girls and they would like give you swipes to like get you to eat because they didn't eat as much. So we were just like it was struggling so bad. But we had a holiday gas station right next to our locker room. So like our locker room right by the field, I mean like you walk out of that parking lot, there's like 100 feet away, there's a holiday gas station and they had like the little quick counter. I remember we couldn't get energy drinks in the dining hall, so we would go get them at Holiday, and they used to have the Celsius Heat. Now, we would drink Celsius, it was cheap. Back then, Celsius wasn't like a well-known brand. It was like the weird one, kind of like seeing like next to like Rippets. And they would always be on
underground.
sale like yeah, underground, like they'd be like two for $3, or two for 3.50. So we would get like Celsius Heats, which had 300 milligrams of caffeine, had 2 grams of like, or 4 grams of like citrulline in it. Like it was actually kind of a pre-workout. We would crush those, put in a like a little lippy, and like you would take like 7 aspirin like before a football game. So it was like I'm hyped up, I'm locked in, and I'm not gonna feel pain until I wake up tomorrow morning and I can't move my body.
Sounds like a good combo. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I would do. I remember like when you're like a freshman, they make you get like a certain meal plan, and then you get to choose after that. And then I just ended
Hmm.
up getting like a smaller meal plan because I knew even though I'd run out, there'd always be like people I knew. It's usually like
So you could
girls that
just save
like,
money.
yeah, I'm like because you can't roll it over. You can't roll it
Hmm.
over,
Which is
and
insane.
yeah, which is preposterous. But I would just cash out because I'm like, okay, there's 2 weeks left, and you have like 60 swipes. You're not going to use all those. You've used 40 in the first 14 weeks.
Yeah.
So I would just
You guys are going home every weekend, like eating
exactly
at home.
like I
We're
would
stuck here.
exactly like I would literally like some of the people would even let me like take a picture of their like card and like scan it.
You're like scanning at the barcode.
Yep. So yeah, that was clutch. But yeah, shout out to Elon though. They have to have the best
That
dining
might be the best
hall.
dining hall in the entire country.
Yeah, like legit, like you're eating at a restaurant.
Dude, college. I remember that day we went in, they had like lamb at the salad counter and they served us like they had like the chef was he was like, "Oh yeah, I wanted to do like duck tartare." What college? And it's crazy is like kids still complain. It's like, how are you compl This is like literally the if we could figure out how to insert a clip and cut this up, we would, but I would literally insert the clip of like Pulp Fiction where he's like, "This is some gourmet shit."
Exactly. Yeah, ours was like we had like a salad bar. There was always pizza that usually was not great. Then there was like a grill where it was like okay, burger
Did
fries.
they butter everything obscenely on the grill?
Not that I can. I don't know. I didn't eat from like the burger fries. If they did tater tots, I'm definitely grabbing those. And they'd have like the home cooked meal where it's like okay, some sort of meat, potatoes.
Yeah.
Um,
One of my
and they'd have
boys
like a
ended up working
sandwich
at
bar.
Sodexo during our college, my sophomore year. My boy Cap, shout out Andrew Capercio. He'd rock up at the grill station. He would work the Sunday morning shift, and he would hide. So like it was supposed to be like, oh, you get like a little scoop of eggs for the omelet. He would do like 2 scoops. He's throwing in meat, cheese. Like this guy didn't care. He knew it wasn't like he was like, I'm gonna help the boys. I know that this ain't. They don't know. And he would ball out. He'd do like steak skillets for us, and he would hide like all the extra food underneath it, and he'd be like, "Go swipe that through." My guy was looking out for everybody, and he was just in there grinding on that grill. Shout out Cat, man. The guy's a dog.
Yeah, I remember whenever they'd have like the big visit days for prospective students, that's when the food would always be like really good. And like it was like good, but it was also like, this is how they fucking get you, huh? Like you're getting
Yeah,
salmon and shrimp and like
you just walk
all
by, you're
this.
like, it ain't always like this.
Yeah, and I'm like this is probably gonna be the best meal you have if you come here. Um,
Yeah.
so I always thought that was funny.
Ah,
Should we get on to
what do
the
you
next
got?
one?
Yeah, let's get on to
Let's
the next
see.
one.
Let's see. Okay, this is one is from Jasmine Cherie. Shout out Jasmine. How does one become a Bev boy, and at what stage does it become the beviest boy?
Ooh, there is levels to this.
There's levels to this shit.
I think the first I think the first step to becoming a Bev boy is like and subscribe the video. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify. That's for sure.
Yep.
And when you watch the clip, like the video, and absolutely when we say pop that top and we crack our drinks open, you sit there, you pop that top right there, and you enjoy a nice crisp energy drink, screaming cold can. Gotta have a screaming cold can. And you watch the video. That's like
Mhm.
step one.
The whole video, and then after you go to bevboys.com
And you
and
buy
you
yourself
buy
a
a
t-shirt or a
shirt.
hat.
Exactly. Um, this is getting real culty real quick.
Yeah.
But
You have to just really you got to focus in on the big picture, and it's like just assimilate your life into into the show, into the podcast. Um,
Quit
that's
your
like step one.
job.
Maybe, yeah, quit your job. You don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need a job. Probably devote your entire life to energy drinks to become the beviest of the boys. Um, if you have like a parent who has like a lot of money, you could tell them you got into an accident and they have to give you like $15,000. Um, and then you could send that to us. That would be good. That'd be really good. Um, honestly, just destroy your whole life and just only care about this. Um, that'd be awesome. I think that's the way to do it. Or you could just subscribe to us, watch every video, and follow us. That'd be pretty good. Buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, buy a hoodie. Paul Mall hoodie. That one's great.
Yeah, I
Love energy
think
drinks.
yeah, I think just more of like that's like the full tier subscription. The light version would be like subscribe, watch the videos, buy a shirt if you want to really support the boys, and just have like an appreciation for energy drinks.
I
Don't just
think that's like the
mindlessly
bare minimum.
consume. Don't just mindlessly consume. Look at the ingredients. Compare.
Curate your lifestyle based off of that energy drink. Pick the one
Ex-
that, and we should get this. I mean, this is something that we've been talking about doing. And Hewitt, shout out the boy Hewitt Tomlin. He really brought this to the table. It's like we need like a decision tree for energy drinks where it's like you want to do this and this is what you like. This is how, and we have to figure out how to do
Algorithm.
that. An algorithm that picks your energy drink for you, like a little roulette. We should do an app. So if anyone does want to pretend that they got into an accident and got $15,000, we could use that for app development.
Exactly. I hope that answered your
Um,
question.
yeah, just commit credit card fraud.
Yep. Thank you for the question. Hopefully that answered and helped.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully that helps.
yeah, let's get on to the next one before we yeah.
Yeah, before this was all a joke, but um, this is one that it's based off of one of our prior podcasts. Um, shout out Amanda again and Tofi, both Bet Boys, great couple. That's a Bet Boys couple. That's how you become a Bet Boys. That's how you become the beviest of boys. Um, this was based off of our three ingredient energy drink question. But if we could craft our perfect energy drink, they want to know what the full profile looks like.
Wow.
I know, I know,
That's tough.
I know.
Well, I think we can kind of work together on this one. It's got to be a
I think
16 ounce
so.
can,
It's got to be a 16
non-negotiable,
ounce can, and it has to
non-negotiable.
be a pressed can, no heat seal.
No heat
Ideally,
seal.
ideally done like the Monster Energy one, where
Yep,
it's pressed but has the texture on it.
yep.
So
Or
like,
like a
and it's
rain.
gotta, yep, and it's gotta have the tab, a colored tab with like the stamp out in there.
Yes,
Like I
like a
think like a
Red Bull.
block. I think a block letter kind of B. I think Bevy would be hard unless we just did like the actual like outline of Bevy.
Hmm. I think
That's
that's
the
a
can.
non-negotiable.
I think
Um,
black can too. Black can with the black
Black
top.
can, black top, and then like a pink tab.
A pink or like a seafoam, our seafoam kind of color tab.
Hmm.
Like one or the other on the can would be perfect. Yep.
Yep, I think that. Obviously, zero sugar, also a
Zero sugar,
non-negotiable. Duh.
non-negotiable. 200 milligrams of caffeine. I think that's our sweet
Yeah,
spot.
I think 200 is the sweet spot for sure. It's got to have at least like 300 milligrams of alpha GPC to me.
I was
Three to
gonna say
400
that. I think
milligrams.
300 to 400 milligrams of alpha GPC, and like it needs a dose. I think of like Huperzine A. Like you're gonna drink this, and it's gonna equivalent to like liquid Adderall. Like you're gonna
Yes,
be so locked in, you can't focus.
exactly.
I
And I'm
think
thinking, I'm thinking like a extended release caffeine almost, like
like a
a little
Tia
bit,
cream.
yeah, or maybe like a little bit of anhydrous and then a little bit of like green tea, maybe a
Like
little
you get
50-50
that
blend,
you
a
get
little
that
extended
boost, and then
release.
that's extended. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like where
Hmm.
your head's at. I like where your
Yep.
head's at. I think if we can get some amount of creatine in there.
Hmm.
Now, FitAid does like they do like 500 milligrams of creatine, which isn't that much, but they're a 12-ounce can. I think we could bump it to two and still be okay. I think we can get that shelf stable, water stable creatine into like 2 grams, which again is not a lot, but it could be a good add in there. Like whatever we can push the upper limit of getting that ingredient in without like messing up everything else. That's what I want. I think it's going to be around 2 grams. Do you want beta in there? I kind of want beta alanine in there.
Yeah, I could put a little beta alanine in there.
Like two
Um,
grams, again, kind of like how C4 does it.
yep, and then maybe just a little bit of L-theanine too to kind of
Like,
smooth.
yeah, like 100 milligrams of like L-theanine just
Yep,
to smooth things out.
yep. I think that'd be good. If anything else, I'm trying to think.
Do we
We
need
already got
like a
the alpha
ginkgo biloba?
GPC. Yeah, like we already got the alpha GPC, but do we do like a Gengo or like a maybe even like I haven't seen like a rhodiola in an energy drink. That
Rhodiola.
could be that could
Rhodiola
be.
would be sick.
I think that would be
Yeah.
good. I think that would be
I think
good.
I think we got to do that. Um,
I
dude,
think
this
a little bit of
citrulline.
like, and then I was thinking a little bit of like a little bit of like sodium too, a little bit of salt.
Oh yeah, like 300 to 400 milligrams. I think
Yeah,
300 to 400, where
it's
it's
gonna
like
enhance the
enough.
flavor too.
It will, especially we'll get to the flavor. But I got a couple of flavors. I was talking about this yesterday. I got a couple flavors in mind, but a little bit like 300 to 400 milligrams of sodium, I think, and a little bit of ginkgo, like you said. I think that'd be sick. And I think like 4 grams of like citrulline. So that way, like
Hmm.
it's going to circulate the blood flow. If you want to use this as a pre-workout, you can. You don't necessarily need to. It's like the C4 where it's like maybe I just want an energy drink, maybe I just want a pre-workout, but it's going to get that blood flow in you and you're going to feel great. It's going to circulate all the aminos and all the ingredients all through the body. So I think that's the way to do it. So we've got ingredients. I think we need to talk flavor.
Yes.
This is where we're probably going to differ a little bit, but also like see eye to eye on some things. I would say we
Yeah.
have like four flavors that we have, a couple from me and a couple from you that we've, and then two flavors really that we have adamantly talked about like doing, that we would want to do. I think the two flavors that we would agree on the most is like we want a cream soda and a root beer.
Yes. Yes. I think that would be yeah, that'd be incredible. My mind still keeps going back to like the voltage Mountain Dew esque type of
I I
flavor,
knew I knew you were gonna say that.
or like a Supernova Mountain Dew. God, Mountain Dew's just made some epic like limited edition flavors over the years, and I remember the
Yes,
Supernova and the Voltage were my favorite.
voltage is so good,
God, Voltage fucks. We're getting way too into this. We're getting way too into this.
dude. This is how bad my mind is. But I think like honestly, we haven't really seen this flavor really ever done in an energy drink, and I would love it. I think it would be so great. It would be a hit. I think like a lime margarita. And that's where I go back to the sodium is like you put 400 milligrams of sodium in there, so it's like a salted rim. And here's why. Number one, a lime margarita, like you like that flavor, that like tartness would be a killer energy drink flavor. Number two, now we go back to Brock Wilkins' question, where it's now a drink that you could sip on and have a great drink and just enjoy the energy drink. Or if like you're going out, you could mix a little mixy in there, tequila, and now you have that like that side step where it's like the alcoholic energy drink. I think that would be good as one of those flavors. But one that I've really liked, it still sits in my head a little bit. Cliff does it off the Joe Rogan flavor. That like spicy pineapple. I know it's not everyone's perfect flavor, but I think if it's done right, I mean, that'll be really special.
A little bit of
That that'll be
jalapeno.
that'll be really special, man. That'd be special. Do that one for the boys.
You know what I thought of is like we had that Red Bull like cinnamon pear. What about like an apple cinnamon if you could do it right? Like that could go really wrong,
If you could do it right,
but it
man,
could
if
be
you could
really
do it right.
good.
Yeah. A kiwi would be pretty good as like one. Like a kiwi, I don't want to say kiwi melon or strawberry kiwi. Those are overdone.
Yeah.
I think like a kiwi. Pineapple kiwi.
Yeah.
It'd be really tropical, real light. Think of that as like a summer energy drink. And then we do like an apple cinnamon for like fall and winter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm whispering right now because I'm in I'm in heaven thinking about that. I've watched too many Bob Does sports clips where he just starts to whisper when it means a lot to him.
I'm thinking like something with blueberry kind of sounds good to me.
Ooh, like a
Blueberry lime or some shit.
blueberry lime would be good. I know Ghost is coming out with the blueberry and cream.
Oof.
I really that would be like a berries and cream.
Yep.
A blueberry, a blueberry would be really good. I just don't know like how to like. You know what? Honestly, everyone does cherry cola. A blueberry cola.
Blueberry
Oh,
cola.
blueberry cream soda.
Yeah, or I'm thinking like even like a. You ever have like a strawberry pop, like a strawberry Fanta or something? Those,
Oh, like just straight up blueberry.
straight up
Yeah,
blueberry
yeah.
Fago.
Blueberry Fago. You know what? I'm in on that. I'm in on that flavor. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in on that. I, if there's any energy drink out there that wants to just work with us, give us our own. Give us each just two Bev Boy specials where you slap our logo on the can and you let us pick two flavors, one for each of us, and then you want to see who can sell more. We are so in on that idea where we just craft the flavor and on a good energy drink that has some good ingredients, and we can do it like a battle of the brand, and we limited release both flavors forever. We limited release, and then we conglomerate one as a partnership, and it's like after 3 months of sales, we check out and see who has it, and then that becomes the official flavor of Bev Boys. That would
Man,
be a dream for us, man.
that would be.
Ugh. So we need everyone to become the beviest of boys and increase our following so we can get into this. It's
Yeah.
it's not really about us. It's how much you care about the entire industry of energy drinks. Um, so if you actually care about the world, you should subscribe to us so we can make this happen.
Yep. And the main thing to remember is to not question any of this shit and just go with it because that's the only way it
Yeah,
can work.
yeah. Well, you can't bring in doubt when you do this. Like you got to just jump in head first and get your friends, get them brought in on it. Let's create a cult and we'll do this all together. And think of us as like cult leaders, but not as charismatic, not as smart, not as cunning. More so like if you had to like really pick up like a child that didn't know what they were doing in life, but you really want to put them at the forefront. That's what we need to do. Look up how to start a cult because then we can get followers that way.
Yeah, dude, those are some of the best documentaries in my opinion. Like,
Oh, they're
not
great.
even
Have you seen
lying.
Waco? The Waco documentary is
Uh-uh.
insane.
I watched the I watched the one on Synanon when my girlfriend was here. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
heard of that. That one was freaking crazy. Um,
No. What is it? Describe this to me.
it's basically like so like Synanon. It started like a lot of them. They probably started off like somewhat good and then turned oury at some point. It started in like the 50s, and it was basically a thing for because like Alcoholics Anonymous was a thing, but there really wasn't like the equivalent for like drug addicts. Like there wasn't really like a government or like a government sanctioned program or like a well recognized group that was going to help like drug addicts. So this guy
Hmm.
started it, and basically like the cure was you walk into the Synanon house and you basically just go cold turkey and like you sit on you like are they just like put you on
Just
the
just
couch.
just go through withdrawals.
Yeah, exactly. Like they just do it the hard way, and then the whole kind of premise of it was like they play this thing called the Synanon game, which is basically
Hmm.
like imagine if me and you were just like yelling at each other and arguing, and the only two rules are like you can't use violence and you can't threaten violence, but you can say like it's basically just people getting their anger and like frustrations
Just
out, and
out at
like
each other.
yeah, and like that was like how they like bonded and how they like got out all their like frustrations and stuff. And then they lived in this like house and it was free. And how they like made money was like, okay, they just like volunteered. And then, but then it started to become, because it was actually like pretty effective. Like, you can't, and there was nothing like no drinking, no doing drugs were allowed obviously there. And the game was a big part of like the rehabilitation process. But then it got really weird when it was like, okay, you can't, like if you leave, like you can't leave, like this is how you got better, like you can't leave. And if you leave,
Oh,
then if you leave, you're like banned and like people are like,
they
oh,
turn their
like
back
never
on
talk.
you.
Exactly. But then it got really weird when it started to be, because it was like a thriving community. And then people that weren't even drug addicts wanted to join, and it became like a lifestyle type of thing.
Oh
And
my
that's when
God.
it got really weird. And the whole thing was it was like a nonprofit, so they had like a tax exempt status,
So
but they
no one knows
started,
what they're really doing.
yeah, and it started to become like this. Like they started bringing in a lot of money because at first they would just get like donations from people, like food and stuff like that. But then eventually they, like all these like lifestylers started joining, and it really became something a lot different. And they were helping less and less people that were actually having problems. And then it just became this thing like, okay, like we all live in this house, we play the whatever, like the Synanon game. And then like the founder started like, that's when he really started to kind of like abuse the power. And he's like, all right, now we all have to shave our heads. Like they all shave their heads. All right, now we all have to do like, we all have to exercise like every day. And then we can't do this. And no, now we're going to start a school.
So
And it was
this
all this
was
crazy
this
shit,
is where
man.
Casa del Mar comes from.
I think so, because it started in Santa Monica,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It's
And here's where,
Club Casa del Mar
yep,
is one. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This is
yep,
making sense now.
yep. And then the real like brainwash shit was when they started this radio network. So eventually they had like multiple locations, like in California and like other parts of the country. And they had their own like radio network where basically like the founder would just talk about like his ideas, and that would be live streamed to every single place, every single like location they had in the country, just 24/7. So you were just getting like brainwashed through like
You're just like that
background.
like immersion therapy type of deal where you're just constantly flooded with this. And
Yep. And then
so
they
we should live stream our to everywhere in the country. We need to like put this I guess if we wanted to do this, right, and we wanted to get a cult like following, what store would you put this? Would you put Bev Boys as a live stream just constantly playing? I
I
feel like
think
a
you got to
vitamin
go like,
shopper at GNC.
yeah, or like a gas station. I don't know. This is
If we wanted to get like weird with it, we could just go to like a Hot Topic. They'd play us instead of like music videos.
but
Like a
yeah.
PacSun.
Yep. But yeah, that documentary is crazy. I could talk for longer about that, but
I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that.
yeah, I
That
would I would
sounds
definitely,
incredible.
yeah, I would definitely recommend. I think it's like a 6-part series or something like that, 4 or 6-part series.
What was it on?
I think it was either Netflix or I think it was on HBO maybe.
Damn it. I don't have HBO.
Yeah.
Mom and Meatloaf.
But anyways,
Yeah, I mean,
um,
let's circle back. That was our perfect energy drink. If anyone
yep,
lost track of where we were.
yeah, I think I lost track. Okay, so yeah, that's our perfect energy drink. Thanks for asking. Um, Let me get into another like, now I'm on to the more like serious and actual educational questions. So 15
Yeah.
minutes into this episode, you may actually learn some shit, or maybe not. Will Langford asks, shout out Will Langford, most difficult thing about programming on a year-to-year basis. This is a good question because I think we get caught up usually in like a zoomed in type of view. This is kind of like year to year, and you can kind of
Hmm.
take this one of two ways. Year to year, as in like, okay, how do you like long-term athletic development, or is it more of
Season to
just,
season.
or are you
Yeah.
more just like looking at the way that you program from year to year, not even thinking about development, but like, okay, are you actually reiterating.
Updating, yeah, or are you just
Exactly.
copying and pasting everything? That's a
Exactly.
really good question. Shout out Will. That's a boy.
Hmm.
He's a Bev Boy original too. He's one of the beviest of boys.
Hmm.
Shout out to Willie. Um, you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, I think it can be tough because we know a lot of stuff, or a good amount of stuff, is probably going to be in our program year after year, like certain things.
Hmm.
And this kind of reminds me of a conversation. I want to say it was you and Andrew were talking, and he was saying something about, is the stuff we do now going to be like quote unquote old school 20 years down the line? And I think you said something to the tune of the methods may change, but the principles will always remain the same. So I think how we can use that is just like that. The principles, if you have solid principles, those are probably going to be pretty concrete within your program. You know, as we learn
Hmm.
more, obviously those can change, but the methods and the way you structure those will change over the years, because we can't just be like, okay, I programmed like this for the last couple of years. Now let me flip that entirely on its head. Unless you were doing everything wrong, you probably don't want to overhaul every single thing, because some of the stuff is just going to, you know, they're going to be kind of the mainstays in your program. I think looking at, but you know, data before and after, whether it's your KPIs, I think getting feedback from like the actual people you're working with is something that's kind of underrated. You know, we want to just like run our program and look at the numbers, but we also want to take into consideration like, okay, like maybe it's working, but the athletes absolutely hate it. They don't have a good relationship with the weight room. I think that's something to take into to account. Um, those are the big ones for me. I think another thing is, especially with social media, is like you can see a lot of stuff, and you might want to try all the cool things that you see, and they may not always fit into your situation, and that can be really, I don't want to say dangerous, but like you can be just changing things for the sake of changing things and not really be, you know, you kind of give yourself the illusion that your programming has evolved without actually taking a minute to stop, understand how that thing actually works and whether it fits into your situation or not. Those are two different
Yeah,
things.
it's gonna sound so dumb, but I think the most difficult thing when considering like your programming year over year is, in all honesty, and I think it takes a lot for someone to be like mature in the field to look at their program and like go through it and find the holes. That's one of the most difficult things to do because it's a grip to reality of, and kind of humbles you a little bit of like, this didn't go well. This didn't go well. Why didn't it go well? And it's like, well, some people are so attached to the idea of like, well, I built that. I wanted it to work versus being like, it didn't work. It's just, it is what it is. And you can make it better. And it's like, so like I look at that and I look at maybe not just like exercise selection, because it's like I cycle through a lot of exercises, especially like accessory movements, just to get a different get different methods to attack the same thing. So I'm not as attached to those. But you start to look at like your loading strategy over that year, right? In your off season and your preseason, how did you progress loading? And then did you get enough out of like your intro phase to like really groove that movement patterns and establish those, so that way when you want to load them bigger in the off season, like later down the road, like where they equipped enough to have that. And I think that that's one of the hardest things, because there's not necessarily a right or a wrong answer. It's so different for every individual, and every team is different year over year, especially in college or in professional sports. It's like what worked last year is not going to work this year, and what didn't work last year might work this year. So it's like you have to just be so fluid in like, this was the original plan, but I might have to audible it and give myself room and make the adjustment. It's such a difficult thing if you genuinely care. I think that's like a big caveat to that. Like if someone's just like, I'm going to run my program and it's just, this is what's going to work in their head, and they don't really start to evaluate, then it becomes like one of those back burner things that's super easy. But when you're constantly evaluating like what you're doing and how that program works for whatever team, for whatever piece, that's so difficult because no two situations, even with this, this you're returning at for the like for me, it's going into year 4, whatever, at the same place. It's like it's not going to be the same. It's not the same team. I mean, those athletes aren't the same athletes that they were last year because maybe they got better or they had an injury, whatever it is. We got to regroup. All right. Well, I'm going to put 2 weeks in to 3 weeks in to make sure, or a full cycle, and I'm going to make sure that we groove that. 2 weeks in, you might be like, all right, we're way ahead, and either I'm going to push whatever else first, or I'm going to just stay at it and signify everything, or you get 4 weeks in and it's like, okay, we're good, or we're still not good. So you got to elongate a little bit more. That's such a difficult thing, and it's like you got to be good on your feet and be able to just make like Malcolm Gladwell, don't blink. Just make that decision and go with it and start running and call your audibles and know enough to make sure that it's okay and you're going to be in a good spot with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I just had a really good conversation last night with Hunter Lakey. Shout out Hunter Lakey. Go definitely check his episode out about
Dog.
how he's kind of navigating the transfer portal in college, college baseball. And he's like, it's tough because you don't know. I'm building these guys up and then they go off to a bigger program. And then I'm getting guys from another program that are going to be here for a year. I can't run that the same. And I think that's like one of the things that I think coaches have had to adapt to in the last couple of years. And that's something that I kind of struggled with here was like having to, when I first got here, like being able to really like adapt and go away from like your super structured plan. Not even because your plan was bad, but like, hey, like it's just better to make this adjustment, whether like an athlete can or can't do this movement right now. You might need to regress them and being more flexible, because I think at least for me there was a point in time where you have your idea of how you want to like run your program and you want it to be super structured, really on point, disciplined, all this stuff, but then with that you don't leave a lot of room for adaptability and variability, and you're kind of like just rigid and not willing to change things, even if they actually need to be changed, because you think you just have tunnel vision of like, okay, this is how it's going to run. I'm going to run it, no questions asked. So I think that's a big thing that coaches have had to adapt to, and I think that's only going to continue to affect the way we look at that in the coming years.
What a banger question, Will. Good one to keep us thinking here.
Yeah, good one to actually provide some educational content in this episode for 8 minutes out of an hour.
I have two more, but they're really similar, so I think I'm going to combine them. So preface this by saying Mariah, shout out Mariah, ex-Elon intern, um, gave us a question, and it also stems from a conversation/question that I had with a coach at Elon, Evan Mills. Shout out to the boy, big bearded warrior. Um,
Dog.
Mariah's was more so she had a coach that she knows, and the coach said that her stance on like a back squat is that she never utilizes it in the programming and only does if an athlete requests it, because she looks at the movement as a safety concern from the neck. And sidebar from that is that kind of coincides with like, especially with like asymmetrical unilateral movements. We've had a conversation with unilateral stance of a barbell versus like an open trap bar, and it's like, or you know why would you want that piece, right? And why do you move towards one or the other, and the limitations you have with both, whether it be an open trap bar or with dumbbells, right? um so I'll kind of kick us off here, but like I I don't necessarily look at like a back squat as like a safety of the neck manner, to be quite honest. I think if you have neck problems with that, it's likely we're doing two things. Number one, you're cranking your neck super high, or you're loading the bar on your neck, which you should never do. It should always go across the shelf of the shoulders, right? So I don't look at it as like that. I think it's more of a low back issue because you can get away with a bad back squat and still achieve the movement essentially. Like there's no constraints that like in a front squat, if you can't hold a front rack, you're going to fail the lift. You can't compensate it if your ass rises. You can do that in a back squat, and it turns into a really heavy good morning. which a lot of the times, because it's not a strict good morning, it ends up being more detrimental to the back. Um, and then more so on like, say like a barbell split squat versus like a dumbbell split squat or whatever, you know, you can load a barbell split squat heavy. You got to be really careful because if you're going to try and like hit a 3 rep max or like a really heavy triple or something, it can get unbalanced if you got someone who's like a little bit less coordinated. But then it's like, do you go to dumbbells? Because then you're not getting as much stimulus because it's going to be a lot lighter of a weight. The grip might fail. Then it's like you're trying to strap up for the dumbbells versus, then you have like an open trap bar. That's where you kind of hit your sweet spot where it's like, A, it's probably safe because you're not spinal loading, um, in the same sense of like an axial load, but your back still fails in that same area. If this fails on a split squat with a barbell in the front or the back rack or a trap bar, like as long as this fails, it's going to fail the rep. But they drop it from down beneath them. They don't crumble underneath it. You can also swap your handles on a lot of those nice open trap bars to where you can get the grip that fits them. So the grip's not necessarily as much of a concern. Um, all that to kind of wrap around where it's like it's so dependent on everything when you're like choosing movements and then not only choosing a movement but like the implement that you're doing with the movement where it's like, is it safer but are we not getting enough reward, like wait, using that risk to reward ratio and like what's kind of just worth it. And then obviously it's like, well, you don't have open trap bars, so you got to go split squat with a barbell, whether it be front rack or back rack. you know I choose a front squat over a back squat because of the constraints that if you can't achieve this, you're going to fail the rep, but you'll fail it safer. What do you think? You got a lot of toys down there in the DR, man.
Yeah, you could. This is like the never-ending debate, but I think it's
Hmm.
good to still go over it because I think every time I have it, I come up with something different, which is
Yeah,
good. I think versus just saying I never do this because of this, and that's end of story. You got to keep thinking about these things. I watched a really good webinar the other day about essentially like how like squat progressions. A lot of it sometimes come down to like the center of mass. You think about
hmm,
like a counterbalance squat, or like when you're doing a skater squat with a counterbalance. Like you push the plate out in front of you, and that helps you kind of control your center of mass better. You're actually moving. It's weird to think that you're using more load, like you're having a 10 or 25-pound plate in your hand, but that helps
but
you
it makes
balance
the
your center.
movement easier.
Exactly. It's kind of weird to think about. And then you go, okay, to a goblet squat. Still kind of the same thing. It's an anterior load. And then maybe you go to a front squat and then to a back squat where it's a posterior load. I think one of the things that gets overlooked is still with that front squat, it's kind of helping, since it's loaded anteriorly, it's helping that center of mass kind of balance because the weight's in front and then your center of mass is probably towards your right around your hips or your midsection. And then when it gets tough is when you have back squat. So to me, I kind of view it as just like it's not good or bad. It's just how far do you want to and how far can you progress like an athlete? Like I think a good squat progression could be okay, counterbalance squat, most every athlete's going to be able to do that. Goblet squat, most every athlete's going to be able to do that. Okay, then can you get them to like a zombie and then to a front squat, and then can you have them get into a back squat, like a high traditional like high bar squat where you're loading it on the upper traps. Some people are just going to be able to get into those positions, and some people are really going to struggle. I'm not going to say like that's good or bad. I
It's
think
just different.
it's just different, and I do think it's good. Like you can go through, forever and never have a bar on your back and get really freaking strong, and that works. I think it's probably better, in my opinion, to be able to put a bar on your back, even if it's you do a split squat, safety bar back squat, traditional back squat, just to expose to that. Obviously, if you have some serious back issues, that's going to
Hmm.
be context dependent.
Yeah.
But I think there's merit to like axial loading to an extent. Obviously, you don't want to go super crazy with it, but like
Sometimes you just
exposing.
need to do something hard, and then obviously like bone density stuff.
Exactly. And then same thing, like you made a good point with the dumbbells. A lot of times the ability to load is determined by the modality you choose. Dumbbells,
We've
you can get
talked
really,
about this.
yep, you can get really heavy, but your grip's going to fail you versus like,
Hmm.
and same thing with like front squat, back squat. Almost everyone's going to be able to, if they know how to back squat well, they're going to be able to back squat more than they can front squat. That's just because the limiting factor in a front squat is the ability, of the musculature of like the trunk and being able to keep the elbows high. Um, but like you said, that can also lead to like a compensation because you can kind of do like a shitty back squat and muscle it up into like half squat, half good morning. And then you kind of get into this position where the person's deadlift looks like your squat and your deadlift look the same. You can't tell the
Yeah.
difference because you're in the same position. That's when there's a problem. Um, and that's where I think it comes into looking at things like, okay, elevating the heels, stuff like that. Or just
Those
working
little
through.
those little constraints that you throw into the mix help help kind of I think honestly like you move like a wedge, it not only it helps the ankle mobility like limitation, but it also still kind of it'll slightly move that center of mass even though it's still loaded on the back. It shifts it a little bit forward to where you get more of that upright pattern, and now you kind of remove a little bit of that uh like I guess like that low back stress or that limiting factor.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you said, it's like each athlete is going to be different. The majority of your team will probably put you in the right direction of which one you should go with based off of that. But then you'll have your one-offs, and it's just like pick the one that fits the athlete the best. And that's why it's like programming, like I want to program a unilateral squat. Here's three options. Go for it. And then you just load the options based off of, well, we're probably going to be in some way, shape, or form a barbell, whether it's you know, a true single leg, an RFE, a front rack RFE, whatever it might be, and then you kind of go from there. But you just want to make sure that it's not like a full regression all the way, where it's like we go from a back squat to a Hatfield split squat to a goblet squat, where it's like those are all three different, like way different loads. We have like 100, 110 to 120% of one of these, and then we have like 60%, if that, maybe, if you have
Yeah.
dumbbells heavy enough of one of these. So it's
Yeah.
just like picking that and understanding it in that context.
Yeah. And that, the point you made, they went over that in the webinar. That was like, shout out Prescript. That they did like a free webinar. They do a lot of good, they put out a lot of good information. Yeah, I think it's more so just, and you got to look at like anthropometrics too. Like a 7-footer isn't going to be able to squat like a guy that's my height, that's 5'8". Like it's going to be tough to get some guys that are some people that are super tall, and they're not going to be able to do like ass to grass back squat. Those they might do better with something like an open trap bar, like split squat or reverse lunge or something like that. Something that's gonna, you can't. It's almost like you can't force a round square peg into a round hole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only hard part with that is it's like, are you exposing them enough stimulus in a full range of motion and time under tension to make sure that you still get a withstanding result? And I think
That's
that's
true.
where a lot of the field kind of, I don't want to say like they kind of handicap a little bit on some of the big taller guys. And it's like they don't go enough full range and they just be like, oh, well, they're super tall, they have long femurs, they can't do that, so let's just not do it. It's like I still think there's merit to trying to do that. Um, I think of some guys at Elon and Ishmael Atkins, he's 6'4", guy's wiry, real long femurs. You put him in a front squat, he's gonna drop 335 straight down to the basement, and he's hitting that squat like it's nothing. And you kind of stare at that and you're like, watching a guy like that really makes me think about like, are some athletes just so, I don't want to say like not babied, but like they're limited by a coach just in that methodology, thinking they can't do that because X. It's like you should try. You should try and see if you can get that because there's a lot of juice that you could squeeze out of that movement, even just a full range of motion.
Yeah, I think some people are. You'll find the front squat is, to be honest, I think the front squat is easier to get into a deeper range of motion, especially if you're not like
In a
skilled
back
at a
squat,
back squat.
I think so too.
Yep. And then obviously like split stance patterns you're gonna be able to get more. I mean, obviously, like when I go
The
back to
pelvic tilt is going to
dumbbells,
allow that.
exactly, just get into like a super deep knee flexion. I think this is where machines again come into play. Like if you have a good belt squat, um, a good way to like pump volume without having like a super really, I mean, no axial load if it's a belt squat. Leg press could be another like good.
You have the space, a pendulum squat. I know we talked about that on our last one with Chris, but like you want to talk about something where it's like just hold on. It goes on your shoulders, you hang on to it and you just squat all the way down. And
Mm-hmm.
you force extreme range of motion where between that or like a Kaiser, I mean a Kaiser's essentially like an air regulated kind of belt pendulum squat, just obviously it's shaped a little bit differently, but the same kind of like levers. So just a little bit of a thinker.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. Did you have one more?
I got one more. This is from Evan A. Otten. Evan Otten. Shout
Evan
out
Otten.
Evan.
Shout out to
Evan
the
Otten.
boy.
Shout out for the question. This is a good one to end on. What characteristics distinguish a top tier coach or professional? Well, you're asking.
Whoa.
I don't know if
You're
I'm the
asking the
qual.
wrong people.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, well, from a guy who's not either of those, let me give my unsolicited advice and opinion. Um, yeah, this is a good one, and it's obviously going to look different in different contexts.
Yeah. I think oh, you got it?
No, I'll let you.
Okay.
I'll let you lead on this one.
I think regardless of what I guess like sector you're in, like it comes down to like three kind of really good things. Number one, be a good person. I think being a good person in this field is like an absolute requirement. You can be kind of you know, not a bully, but like a real like jokester. You can be this or that, but like when you are a good person is going to deeply care about the people that he works with, and that allows you to do a lot more for someone as an individual. So I think that's like number one. Number two, you have to be intelligent. And I don't just mean like traditional book smart, but intelligent, like a little bit of emotional intelligence to understand your athletes, thinking on your feet. You have to be quick to decision making because you're intelligent. You have to understand what it is that you're trying to get at or you're seeking with the adaptation to then be able to reverse engineer that. Like the intelligence is a must. And then third, I think you have to have a personality to you. It doesn't have to be a very like exuberant or just massive personality, larger than life character where you're screaming all the time. You and I coach very differently to where you're a little bit more calm and just, that's your personality versus me. I'm like very all off the wall, kind of outgoing, all over the place. But we accomplish the same thing when you and I coach, just from different avenues because of our personalities, where the athletes get to know you better. They understand your personality, they know you as a human being, and you get more out of them. You can control a room with your personality and with mine. You can, or very differently, the same way Nick does, or, the way that any of our other coaches that we've had on, whether it be TK, whether it be Alex, Lakey, or Gabe, or Andrew, like all these guys, we all coach very differently, but we have good personalities to where we can take control and be a leader in that session and make sure that everything goes well and relying on your intelligence and being a good person. The athletes know that you're in control. They know what you're doing. They know you know what you're doing, and they know that you have a map in place to get this done. I think those three things are absolutely necessary in order to accomplish that.
Yeah, those are three. Those are great. I completely agree with all of them. Another one that I would add is like just continually like honing your craft and continuing to be like having a sense of curiosity, and that spans beyond just the walls of like training. Just curious about everything like in general, like always
Hmm.
continuing to like hone your craft, whether that's looking it's gonna, I think just like following your curiosity, like if you're super interested in one thing, dive down a rabbit hole and really see what the research says, what people other people are saying about it, have conversations with people you know about that topic, and then see how you can implement that and see how it works. I think that's a big one for me. Just kind of falling in love with like honing your craft, um, and just
You gotta
staying
love
curious.
this.
Yeah, like staying curious.
It's I could not agree with. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I couldn't agree with you more. Is like it's a very, very fun industry that we work in, but it can be very tiresome. Like it's long days, it's long hours. We get a lot of cool benefits and we get to wear shorts and t-shirts to work. But emotionally and just physically, it can be an exhausting field. So like falling in love with it to where it's something you just love so much that you can kind of, I don't want to say it becomes your personality, but you can live this life and love that. It all makes it so much easier and you'll always be better and better every day.
Yeah, that's not it's not an easy thing to do. It's hard. You see a lot of people that have kind of short-lived careers in this
Hmm.
type of field, and that's for like a multitude of reasons. It's not just that, but I think that's definitely a contributing factor. I think another one that I think some people will probably disagree with, but like having, and this is more of like not like you don't have to do this to be a good coach, but I think it just helps with the longevity, is like having interest and like an identity outside of coaching. Because I think,
Hmm.
and the ability to kind of separate, because I think, like, I think of like you, for example, like you have two jobs, you have like a ton going on, but there seems to be something that you're always like, you're getting really into golf. Like, you don't work with golf at Elon. That's just something that you've liked to do. And I think that's the
Hmm.
kind of stuff that you find that you can do in your off time that kind of helps you
Relax
helps
and
you
release and separate.
reset. It's we talk about like periodization for training. You have to like periodize your life too. And then
Yeah.
when I was at Simpson, taking one of shout out Coach Schmitz, was taking one of his practicum classes, and one of our like topics was high low system for your life. Like you got to be able to there's and just the way he
What a
put that.
guy.
Yeah, and he's like, obviously you're gonna have days where you're gonna work super long hours, but just like in training, you can't do that. You can't have a high day every single day in your life, or you can't have your whole day can't be high. You can't work all the time and then just never have a reprieve and expect to keep performing at the same level and expect to keep like enjoying what you're doing. So I think
He's such a
that's like,
dog.
yeah, that's a super good analogy. Because I mean, I even like notice it like here, like you might be dragging towards the end of like a long week and then you get a couple days off and you just come back, I think it's
Refreshed.
refreshed, especially like if you took time away from the actual job and maybe did something different, read a
Hmm.
book that, read like a fiction book, or do an activity that's not related to work, or just have good conversation about something completely different. Or like, I think I mean, we talk about training on the podcast, but I think the podcast is one of those things for me. It's like, I look
This is
forward
a
to it every
release for
week.
us.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
look forward to it every week. It helps, it helps me like think, get some of the thoughts like out of my head. Um, just kind of reset for the week.
It's such a contrast to exactly what I just said, though, is like following, like, you have to love this and you have to, like, kind of live it to where it's like you are very passionate about it, but it's like you ride the razor's edge of, like, I can't live this every single moment of my life. Like, I need to dedicate time to it outside of like my working and coaching hours to where I want to continue to grow and improve and have that in my life. But at the same time, like, that's such a good point of like, and to maybe it's to my fault where I just don't realize it, where it's like you have to separate too. You have to have that stuff outside of that, whether it be, for me, like getting into golf or having people around you that don't work in strength and conditioning. Like a lot of our friends, a lot of my best friends that I talk to every day are strength coaches or performance coaches. But then I have friends that aren't. I have friends that work as an insurance auditor, and I just love talking to him because we have common interests. Or, other friends that they don't do this and they work in education or they work in my girlfriend's a nurse, that kind of stuff to where it's like it pulls you back to reality. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, we want to watch sports, or you love movies, right? I love movies, so I want to watch movies. So you have that like that balance in your life to where you don't have to think about it, to where like I think that's important to then go back and then be able to like, because it's not such a chore, I get to enjoy it, and I love it a little bit more, and I can go work harder at this and go after it. But I think it takes special people, again, good humans, good personalities, good qualities, and like intelligence to be able to compartmentalize their life and be able to and separate and do that stuff. And when that happens, you get a really good coach. And I think it's on the organization then to be like, we got to keep them around, which is another hard part, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
God damn, Evan, great question. So kind of wrapping this up here, but the last time we did Q&A, we got blitzed with zero responses and had to like go to ChatGPT to figure stuff out. For the full disclosure for the viewers, we definitely got more questions, but they are some high quality questions that we got from some great. I mean, these were great this time. This is like borderline as good as our first Q&A when we had just some fun ones, but like we had some thought process ones and everything this time. It was a banger.
Yeah. That was a good
It
blend
ain't no
of
bangers.
exactly. That was a good blend of like I don't want to say like serious and non-serious, but that's it's energy drink reviews and performance talks, and we got both sides.
That's
I
what
think
that's what it was. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good one to end on. As always, I really appreciate everyone that submitted questions. Hopefully, we answered them to an extent, or at least you got a chuckle out of them.
Yeah.
Um, Make sure to check out our last week's episode with Chris Dunn. That was our longest episode to date. Fucking banger.
Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. Something a little different. Business owner, pro bodybuilder, someone just brings a different, I don't know, something a little different to the podcast. I really recommend checking out that episode. We got some other episodes in the works as far as guests go. So yeah, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Give us a good review on Apple Podcast, Spotify. Really helps us with the algorithm. Subscribe to those. Follow us on Instagram, bevboys.tv for clips of past, future, and present episodes. And then as well as our personal accounts, French_fit40 for myself, Bevboys content, training content, all that good stuff. Brian can be found at
B Shakuski, BSZUTKOWSKI. Training content, great things, as well as Bad Boys clips. Everything about this, we love it. We love this podcast. We love everyone that tunes in and listens to us. We do this for us ourselves, obviously, because we just enjoy doing this. But it's also great to see, like, when our numbers go up, that like someone else cares about this, and that makes us just as kind of juiced and hungry to kind of come back the next week and keep this thing rolling and have fun with it. That's what it started out, was just having fun, and it feels great that other people are having fun listening to us.
exactly. So, and then bevboys.com if you want to grab t-shirt, hoodie, hat, support the boys. Also always greatly appreciated. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace.